This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
On the news this evening, Rivers State's government apologizes as fourth fire in 1 week leaves several residents homeless. Governor Wike creates Office of Deputy Chief of Staff, and SAS panelists criticize Minister of State for Labour Festus Keyamo's comments on legality of panel. Rivers State University set to hold convocation. On the foreign scene, Sweden's first female prime minister reappointed. I'm Constance. The Rivers State Commissioner for Special Duties, Emeka Onowu, says some residents attacked the men of the Rivers State Fire Service when they went to put out the Elechi Beach fire on Saturday. In an interview with correspondent Emeka Otuka, Mr. Onowu, who condemned the attack, apologized for the late arrival of the firemen to the scene of the incident, which left several people homeless.
I just finished the meeting with the chief fire stations, and I've told them must be ready at all times. We don't want to give any excuses. This particular one, we say we are sorry. We went on inspection this morning at the fire station. All our trucks are equipped. All our trucks are ready to fight. Please, the masses should please, in the name of God, stop attacking firemen when they come to assist you. They are not the ones that lead those fires.
But the State Commissioner for Special Duties sympathized with those left homeless by the fire.
The government has advertised to those who lost their properties. We are trying to see what we can do to remedy the situation. The issue of people carrying rumors that fire servicemen are not responding. I've said this. No fireman will see fire and will not want to go and fight that fire. We don't want to apportion blame to anybody. All we are saying is that everybody should be careful. Everybody should tread cautiously. The fire incident this period is getting much, and this is dry season when we are entering. Those who are storing petroleum products at home should please desist such. Also, electrical appliances are going out. The state governments who are ready, we are prepared to combat any fire and emergency. And please let the public remove that negative perception they have about the fire service.
He, however, reviewed the outcome of the report of the panel set up to investigate the causes of the 3 fire outbreak in 3 days last week.
With the committee report this morning, we want to study the report now, and we are going to act on all the recommendations. That of D-Line, that of Rumokoro, Creek Market, are all fire issues. Let me say this also. Anything that has to do with petroleum is purely on the exclusive list of the federal government, the president, because we don't control the military, we don't control the police, we don't control the navy. If they call the head of these agencies and give them a mandate, you will see that this thing will come down a little. Not that it will stop totally, but at least to an extent.
Meanwhile, safety and security expert Ukechi Smith Dibia is concerned that residents remain passive towards fire prevention measures. But speaking on Nigeria Info's Morning Crossfire, Mr. Dibia said citizens' failure to take responsibility to prevent fire leads to government's failure too.
You have bought a transformer for 15 million and all that to have light in your estate. What stops each estate to have a mini fire fighting equipment? Let's leave the government alone. But when we continue to lay blames on them, we will lose our own side of taking responsibility. You see an estate that people will pay to buy transformer. It will also contribute to open a mini fire fighting station in that estate. If there is any fire outbreak in that estate, mini fire station can go there and fight that fire.
He, however, listed the various fire and safety measures that must be adopted to prevent any other outbreaks in the state.
Trying to handle this fire, we need to have the equipment. I tell you, a extinguisher is as low as 15,000 if it is for residential, and the car is as low as 5,000. We have different types of smoke detectors. We have the ones that use light, and we have the one that also uses battery, which is the standalone. Now, the thing is, it depends on what you want, the size of your house, or let me say, if you're staying in a bedroom flat, you could use the standalone to mitigate that. But if it's a bigger building, you need that one that uses light.
Meanwhile, some business owners have been speaking on the fire safety measures they've put in place in their business areas.
We have all the gadgets we use in tackling fire and preventing fire. The fire extinguishers are all intact and they are regularly checked. A fire alarm system is effective. And we have fire wardens who go around the hotel to ensure that all the equipment meant to fight fire or prevent fire are all active. In terms of training, we have a safety manager who gives regular training to our staffs.
We have water hydrants so that when the couples are fixed on it, you can turn it out and then use it against where the accident or fire outbreak is coming out from. We have the extinguishers, the sand in the buckets is also another, and the sprinklers on the tank to cool the tank at every point in time is also important.
In the meantime, some dealers of safety equipment in Port Harcourt say the smallest firefighting equipment costs 4,000 naira.
Companies buy more than individual. If you go to 10 houses, 8 may not have the fire extinguisher. The same thing to cars. Some people will be going on the road, traveling from here to Lagos, Abuja. They will have an extinguisher, but it's not refilled. The smallest one for Ghana is 4,000. The house only, you can get the one of 8,000. Companies can buy different sizes.
Our old customers that are aware of the extinguisher, they come in, buy 2, 3, depends on what they need it for. Smoke detector, they have one of 4,500. Some have 6,000. As the case may be, depending on the capacity you want it for.
Moving on, Governor Nyesom Wike has announced the creation of the Office of the Deputy Chief of Staff, Government House, Port Harcourt. A statement by the Governor's Special Assistant Media, Kelvin Ebiri, said the Deputy Chief of Staff will be in charge of the logistics, correspondence of the Governor, and legal matters. He also announced the creation of the Office of the Special Advisor on Aviation. Away from that, a member of the NSAS panel in River State, Carl Uchebu, has joined to fault comments by Minister of State for Labour, Festus Keyamo, who called the panels illegal. Mr. Uchebu tells correspondent Martha Okere that it's an indication that the federal government is not ready to implement the reports of the various panels.
It simply shows that the federal government has not been able to wash their hands on the report, because perhaps the outcome that they expected was not what they were getting. I know that some state governments have started implementing some of the panel reports with the states. I also understand that state has issued a white paper on the report. So maybe state governments may implement some of the reports, but I don't see the federal government doing that, because already they have rejected and disowned the report. Those reports will be there on the shelves. One day, people will be held account based on the reports.
On his part, the National Legal Advisor of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, Henry Ekine, says the Constitution allows state governors to constitute panel of inquiry.
It cannot be said anywhere that any of our laws do not vest the power to inquire into the issues of violation of or breaches of rights of citizens by any person, with our laws. It does not matter who perpetrated that violation of rights of citizens, whether it is the president or the chief of army staff or the inspector general of police. And that's why the state high courts are also having the jurisdiction to entertain matters on alleged violation of rights of citizens. So if today I allege that the chief of army staff is violating my rights, I can run to the River State High Court.
Well, Mr. Ekine, however, criticized Mr. Keyamo for saying that public officers like the police and the army can only be investigated by the federal government and not by any state panel.
That means all the matters of fundamental rights we have in the respective courts that are against the Inspector General of Police and policemen, that are against the military men and all that should be thrown away. Is that the implication? Or is it different because it's a judicial panel of inquiry? I do not think so. Because if it were to become law, then it's a dangerous precedent that we would have set. It will mean that even the ones that I have, or perhaps every lawyer in this country would have against the police, all those matters, then they should all just let them go. Because we'll now wait for the federal government, to the Attorney General of the Federation, to institute those actions.
Meanwhile, a member of the Lagos NSAS Judicial Panel, Iroele Adegborua, has hit back at claims by Minister of State for Labour, Festus Keyamo, that the panel didn't have the jurisdiction to investigate the federal government agencies. In a statement, Adegborua said the panel cannot be described as illegal simply because its report wasn't favorable to the government. He said it has never been part of the country's legal system for someone who approached the courts in the first instance to turn around to challenge the legality or jurisdiction of the courts. Well, he said the NSAS panels were set up at the request of the federal government through the National Economic Council. In the case of the Lagos panel, the federal government, through the Nigerian Army, voluntarily submitted itself to the jurisdiction of the panel. But he also said the federal government called witnesses, tendered documents, and made very lengthy presentations. But the white paper on the report from the Lagos State government will be out in 2 days. Still ahead, River State University set to hold convocation. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us. As the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence enters its 5th day, an international medical NGO, Doctors Without Borders, says it has provided medical and other kinds of support to over 1,000 survivors of sexual violence in Rivers State this year. The nursing team supervisor, Blessing Dingba, tells correspondent Chuma Ezenwafo that 67.9% of the survivors are minors and mostly girls.
Survivor assaulted by known lines, we have 50.5. Then for intimate partner, we have 1.4%. Those that came within 72 hours, we have 52.7. Most times the issues we have, so they don't report early. Either they go to police stations or maybe their parents hold them back. Most people, I think they are afraid too. The perpetrator is someone that is prominent.
She, however, called for appropriate sex education for minors to tackle sexual violence in the state.
From our family, we teach our children to start from age 2, appropriate sex education. Who should touch you and who is not supposed to touch you and where they are not supposed to touch. In the school too, we should try to add that to our curriculum. People should not touch children here. When they touch, they should report. In our society now, they should bring people to book anyone that assaults in our houses, in our communities, with lighting every corner, every road, uncompleted building. Also, we should watch it.
The global theme for this year's 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, which will run from November 25 to December 10, is Orange the World, End Violence Against Women Now. Well, co-chair of the African Union of Vaccine Delivery Alliance for COVID-19, Dr. Iroele Alakija, has reacted to the travel ban placed on many African countries after the Omicron variant of coronavirus was detected in South Africa. While speaking on the BBC, Dr. Iroele Alakija questioned why the world is locking away Africa and not doing the same to other continents where the heavily mutated variant has been detected.
Moderna supplied to other countries and did not supply to Botswana. And so now we have a variant. Do we know where this variant originated? No, we don't even know that yet. It could possibly be that the excellent science in South Africa has shown it up, but it could very well have come from anywhere else. This is discriminatory, it is xenophobia, and it is wrong. Let us follow the science. Let us not follow politics. Let us share the know-how. Let us allow African countries and others to produce their own vaccines so that we do not get to an Omega variant, which we cannot absolutely control.
The Vice Chancellor of the Rivers State University, Professor Lerum Okobule, says 31 out of over 4,000 students will be graduating with a first class. At a media briefing today ahead of the school's convocation this weekend, the Vice Chancellor said 884 of the students will receive second-class upper division.
I'm happy to inform you that at this convocation ceremony, we'll be graduating a total of 4,970 graduates. The breakdown is as follows. Bachelor's degrees, first class 31, second class honors upper division 884, second class honors lower division 1,793, third class division 574, pass division 63, total 3,345 graduates. For the higher degrees, we have postgraduate diplomas 436, master's degree 960, and the Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, 229. Subtotal in this category is 1,625, and the grand total is 4,970.
Professor Okobule also said the 4 new campuses of the university in Oda, Emoha, Eche, and Sakbenwa will be commissioned in May 2022.
Through the support of the Rivers State government and the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund, a number of projects have been completed on the campus, while some are ongoing. The standout projects include the magnificent Senate building, which was constructed by the Rivers State government. It is also important to state that we have assurances that the 4 new campuses of the university at Ahoda, Emohua, Eche, and Sagbemwa are now under construction, and work has reached advanced stage in each of them. They are expected to be commissioned in May 2022.
In business, Air Peace says it will resume flight operations between Nigeria and Dubai on December 1. Spokesman of the airline, Stanley Olise, said the flight resumption was made possible following the resolution of diplomatic issues between UAE and Nigeria concerning COVID-19 protocol. In entertainment, all is now set for the Arise Fashion Week. It holds at the Dubai Expo 2020 from December 3. The organizers of the fashion show have adopted the unique Kano motif as its symbol. It holds in collaboration with the Nigerian Pavilion at Expo 2020 Dubai and the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. In sports, Manchester United have appointed Ralph Rangnick as interim manager. A statement on the club's official website made this known today. Rangnick will hold the position until the end of the season, subject to work visa requirements. Well, United also announced that Rangnick will continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years after the season ends.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Sweden's first female prime minister has been reappointed to the top job after political turmoil forced her to resign within hours of taking the post last week. Well, lawmakers backed Social Democratic Party leader Magdalena Andersson by a narrow margin in a new vote today. But she will attempt to lead a one-party government until an election in September next year. On the news this evening, you heard that the Rivers State government has apologized after a 4th fire in 1 week left several residents homeless. Governor Wike has created the Office of Deputy Chief of Staff, Government House, Port Harcourt. NSAS panelists have criticized the Minister of State for Labour, Festus Keyam's comments on legality of the panels. The Rivers State University is set to hold its convocation this weekend. And on the foreign scene, Sweden's first female prime minister has been reappointed. The news was edited by Chioma Ezenwafo. For more stories, visit www.nigeriainfo.fm. Cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this evening. I am Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good evening.